the Warsaw Uprising. Sometimes called the August Uprising, or simply the Battle of Warsaw, this was a major World War II operation carried out by the Polish underground resistance. Not a standing army. No, the resistance, in order to liberate Warsaw from German occupational forces. At the time, Poland had been under German control for about 5 years, and the Poles were kinda over it. And while the resistance had pretty much existed from the start, this was their most blunt operation. And though it ended in failure, it was a valiant effort by the Poles to liberate their country. But sadly, again, it was a failure. Mostly because the Red Army had halted combat operations, even though they were in spitting distance of Warsaw at the time, and this was intentional because Stalin wanted the Poles to be weakened so it would be easier to install a communist puppet state in Poland, which is exactly what the Soviets wound up doing. Additionally, the Germans, in retaliation for the uprising, proceeded to burn Warsaw to the ground and kill just so many people. Had they had some Soviet support and been able to accomplish a few key goals that they failed at, the uprising might have actually been somewhat of a success. One of the major issues they had is they were never able to get the airfield. And while the Germans only had 6 Stukas, they could basically fly unopposed and just keep bombing the resistance. And the Germans also had tanks, like a bunch of tanks. Actual tanks with armor. The resistance had captured a handful, but nothing like what the Germans had, so it was definitely a difficult thing for the Poles to attempt. Maybe I'll do a whole video about the uprising sometime in the future if you guys want, but I wanted to focus on one particular character during it. She's a unique piece, an interesting symbol, and effective fighter, despite being completely improvised. And her name is Kubush. Behold, Her Majesty! Precision Polish improvised engineering! She's actually a lot better than she appears, especially given the time frame they were working with to make her. Kubush is an improvised fighting vehicle, and that name means 2 things in Polish, actually. It means Little Jacob, but it also is their name for Winnie the Pooh? Randomly? Yeah! And she was a single armored car that could also function as an armored personnel carrier, or APC, constructed by the resistance during the uprising, like right smack dab in the middle of it. Like I said, the Germans had a lot of armor, more than the Poles had, so they had to come up with something, and thus they settled on Kubush. She was constructed on the chassis of a 1938 Chevrolet 157 truck, and quite literally slapped together in just under 2 weeks, 13 days, from the decision to build her to handing her over to fighting units. That's how fast she was made. Construction on her started on August 8th of 1944 in an auto repair shop, and the main engineer on the project was Walerian Bielecki. Despite him being technically the lead designer, there was actually no design prepared on paper for Kubush. That was not something that they actually did. They didn't really write anything down. Literally, all of it was improvised as they went, which is absolutely not the normal way that you should go about doing this. But taking that into account, and as well as their situation, they didn't really have time, they actually did a phenomenal job with her. History has shown a lot of improvised fighting vehicles over the years, and most do look genuinely slapped together and kinda cruddy. Kubush really doesn't fall into that category because while she does look a little bit slapped together, she also leans into the professional end of things. Like, you could look at her and clearly see that some skill was involved here. And her name, Kubush, was given to her by one of the other designers, Joseph Fernick, in honor of his late wife. She had also been working for the resistance with her husband and used the pseudonym, Kubush, to cover her identity. She'd been killed by the Wehrmacht just a few weeks prior to the start of building this car. So Joseph wanted to honor her memory, and everyone else agreed with it. Thus, the car's name would be Kubush. The Chevy truck had been a license-built product, not one made in America. It had been built in Poland, just based off of a Chevy design. And in order to turn her into an armored car, they got a hold of a bunch of steel plates, which were bolted to a frame and then welded together. She could carry between 8 to 10 soldiers plus her crew, and was armed with a Soviet-built Degtyaryov machine gun, a K-pattern flamethrower, a projector infantry anti-tank Mk1, as well as hand grenades. Welding her proved a little bit complicated because they didn't have proper welding electrodes, so instead they simply used an acetylene torch. And they did take the time to test the armor before welding it, and they realized that a single layer wasn't gonna cut it. Small arms could penetrate what they had, so they instead used a double layer, spaced by roughly 25 to 90 millimeters by means of distance angles, based off of the styling of an armored truck that they had stripped some of the metal from. That armored truck was made for a bank, not for military, but it had some interesting design choices that could work for their needs. As far as getting in and out of her, well, the hatch arrangement was weird. It was kind of like a tank, actually. Entry with the top hatch allowed for manning her armament, but there were 2 floor hatches leading to her interior for, like, driving her and stuff. And significant parts of the truck had to be rearranged in order to make all this work. After all, it hadn't been designed to be armored whatsoever, and they were trying to make it as optimal as they could with the time they had. They had to adjust the steering system, for example, to the shape of the armor, and add some interior lighting so everyone could see in there. And they gave her whiskers. Yes, really. Like a kitty. What are those? Why did they do that? Well, that was to insist in moving her around. Because of the poor visibility, especially to the sides, they were worried about the driver actually running into something, but the whiskers were placed in such a way that not only could the driver see both of them while looking through the narrow slit he had, but then he could therefore use them to indicate the clearance of the vehicle. They were slightly wider than Kubush, so as long as they didn't hit, say, the corner they were going around, Kubush wouldn't either. An exceedingly dirt-simple solution, but effective. And quite clever, honestly. As far as the engine and frame they were working with from the truck, well, the 157 chassis was really well suited for this. That truck model could carry a lot of weight, and the engine was more than able to handle moving the truck forward, even with all the extra armor. And given the uprising was ongoing as they were putting her together, well, as soon as she was ready, she was thrown out there on August 22nd, 1944, and served alongside her new BFF, a German. Yes, really, a Sonderkraftfahrzeug 251, which I'm just going to call 251. She's a half-track, an armored personnel carrier that the Poles had captured from the Germans, and they began calling her Grey Wolf. Grey Wolf and Kubush were now BFFs, and they would both take part in the assaults of the main campus of the Warsaw University. They wanted the university because the Germans had turned it into a military garrison for the Wehrmacht, and thus there were a lot of Wehrmacht in there. They didn't want the Wehrmacht in there. They wanted them out. Now. So they sent the armor they had in order to try to gain entry into the university and kick the Wehrmacht out of their school. And Kubush proved quite capable given her improvised nature. The Poles had done a really good job with what they had. The armor worked, protecting the crew inside, and she and Grey Wolf were able to get pretty close to the university unopposed, but not actually get inside of it. I mean, obviously they couldn't because they were, like trucks, but none of the resistance could get in either. They were able to destroy the bunker defending the gate, but there was a lot of enemy fire coming from the windows of the university, and they weren't able to press forward that day. So they had to fall back. In response to this, the Germans built a barricade of fencing over the streets, and the result was that the really only effective entry for the university anymore, particularly if they were going to use their armored vehicles, was the gate on Obozna Street. So, the Polish resistance, getting really impatient and also realizing they had a perfectly effectable armored truck, decided to use Kubush to ram the gate. I mean, yeah, okay, no, I'm down with it. I like that plan. And proceeded to storm the university grounds. This caught the Germans slightly off guard, and the Poles made some headway at first, but once the Germans were able to rally, they started pushing them back again. Kubush in particular had a bunch of grenades thrown at her, and her armor could take that, but not her tires. Her tires did have some protection, but they were still rubber. They couldn't give her treads or anything, and her wheels were punctured on the right side. She and Grey Wolf were again forced to pull back, with Kubush driving on her rims, trying to get back to Polish-held areas. But they weren't able to get either of them back through the barricades, so the Poles made the difficult decision to leave them behind, setting both vehicles on fire, rendering them unusable by the Germans. That was on September 6th, and Kubush in particular would be abandoned on Okulnik Street. As I mentioned before, the uprising would end in failure. Warsaw would be almost entirely destroyed until being somewhat liberated. I stress, somewhat liberated by the Red Army later. The city would slowly recover over time, but a few months later, as the Poles were picking up the pieces in 1945, someone realized, whoa. Is that Kubush? She was never taken by the Germans, never destroyed for scrap. She had a couple parts missing, but she was effectively still intact. Just chilling. Sitting. And Joseph Fernick, the one who named her, remember, after his late wife, survived the uprising, and he was like, okay, nobody touch this. Nobody get that scrapper's torch out of here! You'll never touch her! Ever! He made sure that she got to the Polish Army Museum, which had been seriously looted by the Germans and was missing a lot of their exhibits, but therefore had a lot of space. And Kubush represented the tenacity of the Polish resistance. She was a piece of history now. She didn't have much time in the spotlight. She wasn't able to do much, but she was still a symbol of what they were trying to do, of the hope, of their ferocity, and of their ingenuity, because for an improvised machine, again, she was pretty well put together. She was safely stored at the museum, out of sight for a while, but in 1959, she was officially entered into their list of exhibits. Due to the damage she had suffered, it took some time to restore her, but in 1967, she'd be restored using other components that they were able to find, and with support from the Polish People's Army, she was put on display alongside Grey Wolf. What? You lived too? Yeah, they both did. Both were put alongside each other, at least for a while. Kubush has been moved around a little bit, but she's still at the museum on display, as she should be. And in 2004, a full-scale operational replica of her was created by Julius Suazinski. That one you can drive around. She's roadworthy, and she takes part in a lot of outdoor events in memory of the Warsaw Uprising held in the modern-day, rebuilt city, while the original Kubush, it doesn't run anymore, but is safe at the museum. And that's pretty awesome, honestly. Like, again, for a little improvised machine built out of a friggin' pickup truck with stolen steel plates thrown together in less than 2 weeks with an acetylene torch, I mean, you could have done a lot worse. Like, a lot worse for a home-built armored war machine. She actually could stand up to enemy fire, did stand up to enemy fire, and did her best to help the Poles liberate their city. They weren't able to do it, but she lived. And that's pretty awesome. Also, her best friend is a German. Go figure. Till next time, this is Darkness, and I bid you all a farewell.